Texas Ranger Marcus Thompson was patrolling the Big Bend Desert that night when he heard strange signals on his radio, unaware that he would soon encounter glowing metallic beings in the depths of the desert, and his life would change forever. Welcome to Shelley's Mysterious Files. Today I'm sharing with you the story of an incredible encounter experienced by a Texas Ranger with 25 years of experience in the desert. We'll be discussing the details of that night with Marcus Thompson. Marcus, where exactly were you that night, and what were you doing?
Shelley, I was patrolling near the Rio Grande River in the Big Bend region at that time. It was past midnight, maybe around 12:30. I've been doing this job for 25 years, and I know that area very well. That night was a routine patrol. Actually, I was checking for smuggling activities. I was alone in my car with light music playing on the radio. The weather was very quiet. There wasn't even any wind.
How isolated is that area? Was there any chance of encountering other people at that hour?
Shelley, that area is really very isolated. The nearest town is 50 miles away. You normally don't encounter anyone at those hours. Only smugglers pass through occasionally, but they usually use different routes. That night was especially quiet, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The stars were very bright. There was no moon. Just as I was thinking about this silence, strange sounds started coming from my radio.
What were those strange sounds on the radio like? Had you heard anything like that before?
It was something I had never heard before, Shelley. At first it seemed like static, but then I realized it was different. It was like metal pieces scraping against each other, but at a very high frequency. Sometimes it would stop, sometimes it would start again. I tried switching the radio to different channels, but the same sound was on every channel. This was very strange because normally different channels have different broadcasts. Then the sound started repeating at regular intervals, as if there was a pattern.
How long did these sounds continue, and what happened after that?
It lasted about 5 to 10 minutes. I stopped, pulled the car to the side of the road, and turned off the radio completely. But when the sound stopped, an even stranger silence occurred. You know, Shelley, there are always sounds in the desert, insects, wind, distant animal sounds. But at that moment there was nothing, as if nature was holding its breath. It was in that silence that I saw a light in the distance to the west. At first I thought it was a Border Patrol helicopter light, but its movement was not normal at all. It was jumping up and down, like playing with a yo-yo, then suddenly making sharp movements to the sides. In my 25-year career, I've seen all kinds of aircraft, helicopters, planes, drones, but none can move like this. This was against the laws of physics.
How long did you watch this light, and was it approaching you?
I watched it for at least 15 minutes, Shelley. At first it was very far away, maybe 2 to 3 miles away, but I gradually noticed it was getting closer. It was coming towards me without stopping, but in a very strange way. Sometimes it would stop, sometimes it would speed up. There was no logic to this movement. At that time I took out my binoculars and tried to look, but the light was too bright I couldn't see details. Just a very powerful white light and something like mist around it.
What did you feel at that moment? Were you scared or were you curious?
At first I was curious, frankly. In my 25 years of experience, I've seen a lot of things. I could usually find logical explanations, but this was different. As it got closer, a strange uneasiness began inside me. It was as if my instincts were telling me there was danger. At the same time, I was mesmerized. I wanted to keep looking. There were these conflicting emotions inside me. Rather than fear, I felt a mixture of respect for the unknown and uneasiness.
When the light got even closer to you, what did you see? Could you make out the details?
When it got closer, I saw very surprising things, Shelley. This wasn't actually a light, it was a craft, maybe 30 to 40 meters long, cigar-shaped metallic object. It made no sound at all. It was completely silent. Its surface was like a mirror, reflecting the stars. There were bright blue lights on the bottom, arranged in rows. The strangest part was that it seemed to be suspended in the air. I couldn't see any propulsion system.
How close did this object come to you, and what was the condition of your car at that moment?
It came right over my head, maybe 50 to 60 meters high. At that moment, my car's engine suddenly stopped. The ignition key was in place, the gas tank was full, there were no technical problems, but it was as if the electricity had been cut off. The radio had gone silent, the headlights had gone out, even all the lights on the control panel had gone out. The strangest part was that even my wristwatch had stopped. This was a very scary moment because I had been using the same brand of car for 25 years. I knew everything about it. Something like this was technically impossible. I thought about getting out, but I couldn't open the door. It was as if the electric locks had automatically locked. The window opening buttons weren't working either. I felt completely trapped.
How long did this electrical malfunction last? And did you observe any changes in the object during this time?
It lasted about 10 to 15 minutes. During this time, the object just hung above me, not moving at all. But then a beam of light descended from the bottom. It was white, very intense light, but strangely it didn't blind my eyes. If a normal light is this intense, you can't even open your eyes. But this was different. This light completely illuminated the inside of the car as if it could see everything like an X-ray. At that moment, I felt something very strange. It was as if there was a slight numbness in my body, starting from my fingertips and spreading throughout my body. But it didn't hurt. On the contrary, it was very relaxing. It felt like getting a massage, as if every muscle was relaxing.
During the time you were under this light beam, what else did you experience? Did you notice any changes in your mind?
It was a very strange experience, Shelley. I started hearing sounds in my mind, but they weren't sounds I heard with my ears. It was as if someone was speaking directly to my brain. These sounds weren't in English, but I knew their meaning. They were telling me, don't be afraid. They were saying, we won't harm you. At the same time, I felt very peaceful, as if I was experiencing the safest moments of my childhood. This was very strange because logically I should have been scared, but I was completely calm.
Besides this mental communication, what else happened? Did you see movements from inside or outside the object?
Yes, shadows were moving inside the light beam. They were human-shaped, but very tall and thin. They might have been 2 to 2.5 meters tall. Their arms were very long and their heads were bigger than normal humans. I couldn't see clearly because the light was very intense, but I could vaguely make out their shapes. There were at least 3 to 4 of them, and they were moving in coordination with each other.
What characteristics did you notice in these beings' movements? Did they take any action directed at you?
Their movements were very fluid, as if they were swimming in water. They weren't rushed at all. They did everything very calmly and controlled. One seemed to be examining me. The others were doing something around the car. I couldn't do anything. I was just watching. Occasionally those voices would repeat in my mind saying, don't worry, saying we won't harm you. This gave me a strange reassurance.
How did this event end? How did the beings and the object move away?
Suddenly everything stopped. The light beam went out, the voices in my mind stopped, and the shadows of the beings disappeared. The object slowly began to rise upward without making a sound. In just a few seconds, it became a dot in the sky and then completely disappeared. At that moment, my car's engine started by itself. The radio turned on, the headlights came on. It was as if nothing had happened.
How did you feel after the event ended? Did you go home immediately?
I felt very strange, Shelley. On one hand, I was very tired, as if I hadn't slept for hours, but at the same time, I was very energetic and my mind was very clear. I could think everything very clearly. I didn't go home immediately. I waited there for a while. I was trying to understand what had happened. My wristwatch had gone forward 2 hours, but I thought I had only stayed there for 30 to 40 minutes.
When you got home, did you share this with your family? What were their reactions?
At first, I didn't tell anyone, because who would believe it? I couldn't even fully understand what had happened myself. But my wife Janet noticed a change in me. I had become calmer, more thoughtful. A week later, I told her. She was surprised, of course, but she believed me. Because she's been married to me for 20 years, she knows I wouldn't lie. But I told my children much later. I waited for them to be ready for this.
After this event, did you notice any changes in your life, physical or mental?
Yes, there were several changes. First, my sleep pattern changed. I used to sleep a lot at night. Now 4 to 5 hours of sleep is enough for me. At the same time, I can make much more careful observations. It's as if my senses have become sharper. I can hear sounds from far away. I can see better in the dark. Also very strange, but sometimes I can sense things that are going to happen in advance.
Could you give a few examples of these premonition situations? What kinds of things do you sense in advance?
For example, last month during a routine patrol, I had a feeling to stop on a road. There was no logic to it, but I stopped. 10 minutes later, we caught smugglers passing quickly on that road. Normally, I wouldn't expect such a thing in that area. Also, things about my family happened. I sensed in advance that my wife would get sick, or I knew my child would have problems at school. This is very strange, but so far it has always been right.
Do you think these abilities are directly connected to the UFO encounter?
I definitely think they are connected, because these changes started right after that event. That communication I felt in my mind that night seemed to have opened something. Maybe those beings activated some abilities that existed in me but were dormant. Or maybe that light beam affected me physically. There's no definite explanation, but there's a connection that's too clear to be a coincidence.
Did you report this event to other authorities, FBI, or other agencies?
A month later, I reported it to my supervisor. He also took it seriously and reported it to the FBI. 2 agents from the FBI came and interviewed me. They asked very detailed questions, but I never learned what the result was. They just said, "The investigation is ongoing." They also reinvestigated that area, took soil samples, but never gave me any feedback. It was as if the file had been closed.
Did you go back to that area? Have there been other similar events there?
Yes, I always go to that area because of my job, but I haven't experienced anything similar since that event. Only once, in the same place, there was a strange silence. Even the insect sounds had stopped, but it only lasted 10 to 15 minutes, then it returned to normal. Other ranger friends of mine also said they saw strange things in that area, but none were as intense as what I experienced.
Looking back now, how do you evaluate what you experienced that night?
Now, I can look at that event much more objectively. It was definitely a real experience, not imagination, but I'm still not sure what it was. Maybe they were beings from another planet, or maybe they were someone with advanced technology that we don't know about. What's important is that my life changed that night, and this change has always been in a positive direction.
What advice do you give to other people when they experience similar things?
First, they shouldn't be afraid. If they're really having such an experience, most of the time it's not harmful. Second, they should record their experiences in as much detail as possible, because details can become blurry over time. Third, they should tell someone they trust. It's important that they don't keep this inside.
Finally, can you summarize what this experience taught you?
This experience taught me that the universe is much more mysterious and bigger than we thought. The things we know are very limited. It also taught me to be open-minded. I used to have very rigid thoughts, but now I look at everything from a broader perspective. Most importantly, it taught me to be curious instead of afraid. Unknown things don't have to be scary. They can be fascinating.
Marcus, thank you very much for sharing this personal experience with us. This requires courage.
Thank you, Shelley. Maybe other people are experiencing similar things and feeling alone. I want them to know they're not alone. These kinds of experiences are real, and no one has to be ashamed of them. The universe can be a much bigger and more mysterious place.
Listeners, you've heard this incredible experience that Marcus Thompson had in the Texas desert. Next week, we'll be together again with another mysterious encounter story. Thank you for joining us.